Yo, welcome back to No Entry Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Ian, with my co-host, Eva. What it do, baby?
Hey man, how you doing?
What up, Ever? And also, appreciate it. And also, welcome back, Axel Rico, as our special
Woo! Round two.
round two, baby. Let's go. But this time, last time you were here, you were a guest. Like, we were doing an interview with you. Now
Yes.
you're a co-host, special guest. I don't even know what the right word is.
The
So, but
best.
this time we're gonna be talking about wrestling, and yeah, Axel Rico.
Mhm.
First, I want to say, how's your shoulder doing?
Shoulders doing great. Of course, for the people, you never know who's new and not knowing who I am and how the world works and all that stuff. But in July, early July, around July 3rd, I got my I had surgery for my collarbone that was shattered. So they've given me 6 to 8 months to heal, but I'm out of the sling. I'm exercising like normal again. It's funny because like it's getting better, but the first thing I'm gonna do is step into a four-sided ring and then get hit by another person. So it's one of the injuries in wrestling are very funny because it's like, oh, I'm feeling so great, but the next thing you got to do is get hit and get slammed and get punched and get kicked. So things are going well. It's there's a giant plate in my shoulder, so it just feels like there's a giant plate in my shoulder, but I'm getting stronger and getting better every single day.
No, that's good to hear, man. I'm glad. It sucks about your injury, and but yeah, it's one of those things. I didn't knew you shattered it though. God
Yeah,
damn, that's
shattered
horrible.
5 pieces.
5 pieces. Jeez, man, I had my shoulder dislocated multiple times. Extremely painful. I do not want to know how the kind of pain you went through.
I will it. Only time I like ever felt like ow, like pain was after surgery.
Mm,
Like I thought when I was in the ER and stuff, I totally thought it wasn't anything serious because everyone was assuming I'd be like screaming and screeching out in pain. But
right.
I don't know. I'm a phenomenon. That's what the orthopedic doctor told me. Or a
Yeah.
freak. Or a freak.
I've been told that many times before too. Yeah, like when I dislocated my shoulder, it hurt. It was like annoying. It was just annoying. It was like a migraine where it's like I just wanted to go away. But when they popped it back in, I just want to be put in a coffin. I was like, I'm done. I was like, how does that hurt more?
Well, all I know is I knew it happened I knew something happened for sure, and I still finished a wrestling match because I was still in the heat of it, brother, and I
Right.
won.
Jeez.
You think
Oh,
Axel? You think it was adrenaline you're in the match? That's probably why you didn't feel pain until like afterwards. Like just the
well,
mat, you're
mm,
like in the moment and stuff.
well, the match was in June 20th or something like that, June 28th or something like that, the end of June, and I had surgery July 3rd, and I didn't feel pain till after. So
mm,
that's why they call me a freak.
mm. Well, at least you're still on the road to recovery, and like you said, you're off the singlet. So, and you could do the whoop whoop. So that's good to hear.
Arms
Uh,
up.
arms up. um, so Axel,
Yo.
so since you're on leave at the moment, but you're still currently a current wrestler. How do you feel about TNA wrestling coming back? Is that something now? More people like Will Ospreay said it himself, saying that he's TNA wrestling is what inspired him to be a wrestler. Guys like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels. People gave up on Impact because it wasn't the same anymore. They looked at it because they rebranded, they looked at it as a different company, even though the legacy of TNA wrestling is still there. So with something where Impact going back to TNA wrestling, that turns heads like guys like Will Ospreay, where it's like, oh, okay, well, now let's talk. Is that
Yeah.
something that kind of opens your eyes and open your mind as well as possibilities?
Well, I'm a big fan of it, but I didn't really get into Impact till after COVID, once the
Mm,
lockdown ended, because, when little Axel Rico was, during like the early 2000s and stuff, I didn't have like cable and all that. So like I really only had access to like SmackDown. You know what I mean? It was
right.
because it was Friday nights on like a channel that,
VPN.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I loved like the Stone Colds and all that stuff, but it wasn't until I already was a wrestler and I met people. Like one of the first shows back was like Galli, and the Swap Mart opened up. So like then AAW went to the Swap Mart, and AAW, we did shows with Josh Alexander,
Mhm.
Raju, Jake something, and that's what got me into like looking at that, during the 2021 20 looking at what Impact was there, and then realizing, of course, because like now in the age of social media, you can look up TNA,
Right.
Bound for Glory and all that stuff, and then I became, I started watching, doing my research, finding out. Because I remember in college when AJ Styles came to the WWE, I didn't really know who he was. You know,
Mm.
back
Damn. You
I know.
how old are you?
Hey. I'm a young person, but there's only so much media a person can see. You know what I mean? All at once.
But the fact you don't know AJ Styles, you have to be younger than me.
Um.
You have to be
Anyway,
younger than ever.
we're talking about wrestling, not about
I
okay?
just, I just want to know. Should I be offended?
No, no.
All right.
But so like I didn't get into it until I met people in it, and then that
Mm,
got me to see like the legacy that is known as TNA and Impact. And it's like sometimes companies, gotta do, you gotta do something to get, things into gear again. And I think it is kind of like the perfect time, because I know right now, I think their major fans are the ones that are super loyal and know about, the TNA, like Total Nonstop Action, and
right.
like when they connected with the NWA and all that stuff. And I think this is like a good switch to it. I even would even think like, oh, remember when Penta was the champ? Oh yeah, he was a TNA guy, even though it was Impact.
Right.
Something about that TNA name just like kind of it's I think it's a stronger name than Impact. You know what I mean? It's got more legacy to it. It's got more, when you think of TNA, you think of these wrestlers and you have it more connected to something than Impact. And definitely became a bigger fan of it once I met like when I met Josh Alexander, and then I started to watch his stuff, like even like last year, just the man's insane and he's really super talented and an awesome dude. And Rich Swan, like, oh my God, like that roster is so freaking cool. And it's just a lot of people that I know. And it's just awesome to see. And you know what? I think right now they're capitalizing on an audience that wants total, that era of wrestling again. And I think
Yeah.
right now with its roster, currently, I think they're trying to get back to what it was.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with everything you just said because it just sucks. Like, because there's guys like Sammy Callahan. He was there for since 2017, and he made an impact. No pun intended. And but that was under the Impact brand, not the
Mhm.
TNA brand. So it's kind of like, even though it's still going to be in the same brand and all that, it's just one of those things. It's kind of like saying ECW, like if ECW went to NXT, like it merged into NXT, and it's like it's not really the same thing. You don't really want to compare, say like merge it together like that. It's kind of weird, you know. But yeah, no, I'm happy for TNA wrestling. Another thing, I'm like throwing a blank what I was gonna say. Oh, because you mentioned it, SmackDown.
Yeah.
NXT is moving to CW. Uh,
That,
that's going to be
that
in a larger audience. So what's your thoughts on that?
So like that brings me back to, because like of course Raw is like the longest running show ever, and like that's like that is an achievement that like I don't think anybody's gonna touch for a while, because if we think about it, wrestling never ends, right? So the
Yeah.
fact that it's the most popular, I see it as still like probably the most popular show around, because everybody knows what WWE is,
Right.
and then for wanting, like, as a child wanting to see Raw, because like it would be under that banner of having to pay for cable and da 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 da. And of course, SmackDown gets so big that now now I have to pay something to see them or get a subscription now and all that stuff. And now I see, like, I remember the CW or the Channel 5 or whatever, whatever that is on just like,
UPN, I believe that's what it used to call,
And
right?
in
Do you know
WGN,
ever?
they merged. It was UPN and WGN merged
Oh,
into
okay.
yeah.
one.
So like I think that's awesome, because now, because I know NXT right now, I don't I it changed from black and gold, and now I think it's really starting to pick up and find its steam, because of you have literal people trying out things, and so I see it as just like maybe that this new generation's form of like reaching out to a broad spectrum of people that may not have access to to all these subscriptions and Netflix and all that stuff, but they can actually just watch it on any TV that just has like an antenna. And I think
Right.
that'll bring a good new eyeballs to something, and it takes it to like, that's where NXT is at. It's at SmackDown when I was a kid, and that's saying something, because I can remember when SmackDown started, and all the storylines and Stone Cold and all that stuff. But now that they're going to do that for NXT, and NXT is seen as like the smaller brand, and I think that's super cool to think about that.
What's your thoughts on that, Ever? NXT moving to CW?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Axel. Everything like now it's a broader audience. It comes back to like the old days where you could just like CW is free, so you could just watch it on with antenna, or there's an app now too, so you can watch it on your phone and on television. So it's I think, I mean, even with SmackDown on Fox, sometimes they're on FS1 or Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
Right.
So, it was on Sci-Fi a couple times. So you wouldn't be able to watch every SmackDown episode or every Raw episode because, you didn't have Sci-Fi, or you didn't have FS1, you didn't have USA Network. So this brings that audience to like everyone could watch it, you could watch it any part of the country, like just at, the same time and same channel,
Now you can
you
even
know.
watch it while you're just on the bicycle at a Planet Fitness,
Oh, that's true. That
You
is
know?
true.
That's
That's
great,
true.
because most of the guys, especially even some local guys, just from here, from there, that are like considered newer in the wrestling scene, are just being are being molded into NXT and making stars, from like more beginners and stuff. So it's really awesome to see that side of it.
I do appreciate
Yeah.
that. Obviously, in the end of the day, it's Vince's call. Um, I don't know how it is now, but let's just say it still is. I finally appreciate that he's finally taking NXT serious, because he could have just said no, we're gonna just have it for Peacock. It's gonna be on a internet service. But no, they agreed into moving it to a local channel, that a channel that everybody's gonna have. I don't know what took them so long. I don't know why they decided, not to have SmackDown or even ECW back then at the time to even have that network on CW. They had it on Sci-Fi for some reason. And
Yeah. Mhm.
but yeah, it's gonna draw a lot of attention. Another wrestling company was supposed to go there. I don't know if it still is. It's NWA.
Oh
Uh
yeah.
so rumor has it, well, it's not really rumors, it's reports has showed that there was a little incident with Jay Mitchell. Apparently it was scripted and all that. Everybody knew that was gonna happen, but the networks of CW did not enjoy that, and they are on thin ice, and that the deal may be pulled. And with the news of NXT going to CW, everybody's like, "So what's going on with NWA?" Um, let's start with you, Ever. What's your thoughts on that, or did you heard anything that I haven't heard yet?
Yeah, I just heard because I think NWA said that they didn't know that CW was watching the pay-per-view because it was on pay-per-view, but you assume they would watch everything because you want to know
Yeah,
what you're bringing onto your network.
right.
So like any show, AEW, WWE, the network's watching you. Like they're watching every segment, even if you're on YouTube, even if you're on whatever,
Even
or on social media,
WWE,
they'll
even
check
WWE
everything.
watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what I think. Yeah, I think hopefully they get a deal that's great for the wrestlers. I know
Yeah.
Missa Kate goes to NWA a lot, so hopefully she gets a broader audience. That'd be awesome to see her on national television. Other wrestlers as well, you know, people
Marche
like Mecha Wolf,
Rockets.
yeah, Marche Rocket, and all the other people that go to NWA. Of
Mark NWA.
yeah,
Yeah.
or he was.
Wait, hold on. Axel, what do you know? What do you know about Marche Rockets?
I've never seen Marche Rocket on there. I know there's a bunch of guys on there. I've seen Yabo the Clown
Yeah,
and the
his,
Brothers
yeah,
of Funstruction, Missy Kate, but
Mecha Wolf,
Damn.
boy,
Bestia.
yeah, but Marche Rocket is a NWA wrestler.
I he's posting it and he has been on flyers. Have I seen
Okay,
him wrestled on it? No. Maybe actually no, one match. That was like last year, I believe.
okay, I'll have to talk to him about it. See what's going on.
Yeah. I remember I saw a match. I don't remember it was a full match. I think it was just a highlight. It was just like a small clip that I just saw on IG, like a reel. And I believe I don't know if it was Sky Blue or Kylie Ray, but he took a photo with them and they were both in their gear. And it was like later that day, that's when I saw the reel first of Marche Rocket wrestling, and then that's what later on I saw the photo. So I was like, oh,
Yeah,
cool.
because also I'm sorry, I'm not super NWA. You know, I love a lot of people on there, but I don't really
Follow
follow
it. Yeah.
watch. You know what I mean? But I do know the former Damien Sandow.
Mm,
I don't
Aaron, Aaron
Aaron something.
something. Yeah.
yeah.
His boys just won tag team gold, and they're
Mm.
forgot the name of their tag team.
Blunt Force Trauma.
Blunt Force Trauma. Big fan of them.
That's Eli Drake. That's LA Knight's finisher.
Oh, Blunt Force Trauma.
Yeah.
But I know those guys are great, and I know even though they're under a mask, you know, to both of them, they're doing great stuff. But maybe I'd love to see maybe one of those guys go against Marche Rocket in the same ring. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm kind of confused of what's going on with Marche Rockets. So, oh, look at that. Axel Rico's winking.
Oh, sorry,
You had something in your eye? Oh, okay. No, that's
that's some.
cool. But
I
I will
out
say
of
about EC3 is I am happy. Well, one, I'm happy that he's back to Ethan Carter the third,
mm.
because that whole narrate control thing, oh my gosh, the cycle. I was like, bro, that's not working for you. Yeah, you should have just went back to Impact back in 2020 and just did the whole Ethan Carter the third. It worked for him, but I'm happy that he went back to his old gimmick. He's finally, he's NWA World Heavyweight Champion, so congrats on that. Uh,
Wow.
even though he won the title, like what? It's been like 3 or 4 months already at this point.
Yeah. You know who's a good wrestler who I've taken on face to face is Thomas Latimer. That guy's a freaking truck.
Oh
Thomas
yeah.
on. Ooh.
He's the one. He's married to Camille. But
Yeah, yeah.
he was Brahm in TNA, right? Was
Oh,
he
Braun.
Brahm? Brahm, remember him? Ian
Braun.
Brahm, Bram.
I think he did a lot of stuff.
Oh, yes, yes, yeah. Oh, yeah, he was married to Charlotte Flair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, who did he team up with? I think was it Magnus he teamed up with for a bit, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I remember him.
But I faced him over here at Damage Pro Wrestling. He's a great guy.
Oh, nice. How was that match?
It was great. It was for the Damage Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, and I had a belt at the end of the night, and I think.
Ooh-wee.
How many
Damn.
championships have you won? How many have you held? Like you could.
Too many to count.
I think I'm at 5,
Nice.
give or take 5, because some of those like championships either don't exist anymore or I didn't lose, but they're still given to other people, if that makes sense.
I get you.
So
Mm.
I don't know if I count that or if that's like a half, you know what I mean? Because I'm just saying there are still some belts that should be somewhere on my wall over here, but for some reason they're not.
Mm,
Hmm.
makes sense.
Interesting.
Rest,
Right.
wrestling.
Wrestling. Um, so I have a question.
Okay.
There's people are, the hot topic at the moment is Roman Reigns has been champion for over 1,100 days, close to the 200 days mark. He's been champion for over 3 years total, right?
Whew,
With
yep.
54 title defense. Hulk Hogan was champion for 1,474 days with 668 title defense.
Whew,
That's a very long time.
yeah.
Um, my question is, well, first let me, well, yeah, no. So my question is, a guy like Roman, who should be on every show,
Mm-hmm.
you know, selling our arenas and stuff like that in stadiums, and when Hogan, he was trying to help the company grow. It got to a point where Vince realized that, oh, he's money. We got to ensure he's money. They turned
Mm-hmm.
him into the Mickey Mouse of the WWE. So
Nice.
Hogan is the reason why WWE exists.
Mm-hmm.
Roman Reigns is here, and for 3 years, he has hold the Universal Champion for 3 years, and then the WWE Championship for 2 years, with 54 title defense. When he shows up, he goes home. Back then, Hogan wrestles. The next day, he wrestles. The next day, he wrestles. If he's lucky, he gets to go home. Then he goes back on the road to go do radios, news, whatever, because he has to promote the next show next week. Roman Reigns, he just goes home, no reason, just wants to be a family again. He has that Brock Lesnar deal. I understand that, Brock Lesnar, when he had that contract and Roman Reigns was kind of mad, like, well, if Brock could do it, why can't I? I'm a draw too. When Brock Lesnar shows up, he's a draw. He sells out. That's why he has the contract that he has. And so Roman figured, why not? So since Roman is not doing anything, he just stays home. As a
Mm-hmm.
wrestler, is that kind of something like it's a little PO for you where it's like, why are you even champion then?
Well, I see it, and I think because I'm a wrestler, I think I see it in a different mindset, if that makes sense.
No,
Because
yeah.
obviously, like that's the perfect world. You know what I mean? When
Mhm.
like you're so good, you've taken on everybody, and you've taken on everybody. You've fought, you've kicked, you've scratched for the biggest prize of them all, and you know you keep keeping your promises. However, you get the job done. Right? That's the name of the game. That's the name of the business. It's not just like who can do as many push-ups as the next person. No, it's like
Right.
getting the job done in any means necessary and keeping your name in history. And then, of course, it's a physical toll on your body. So, of course, like if you can have it one way, that's what you want. You know what I mean?
Right.
You want the easiest, the way to the goal, but through the easiest way to travel, if that makes sense, right? So I kind of see it as like he's right now living it and has backed it up. I do understand the frustration because, of course, like as fans, if you're a fan of Roman Reigns, or if you're a fan of WWE and you're a
Right.
fan of general competition of stuff, of course, you want everybody to see it. But I think right now, especially with like that comment, of WWE and like Hulk Hogan, of course, back in the 80s and 70s, it's a completely different world right now. There is not as much, over back then, there's not a lot. That's why you would have to work every single day. There's not a lot of reach that can reach globally. But right now, we can go globally. Like right now, with the right algorithm, this can reach out to 10 people. This can reach out to maybe 1 million people, just like in the snap of our fingers.
Right.
So I think with that, I think the product is completely different than when it was in the 70s. I think it's untouchable at the moment. I think back then it was kind of, they needed a Hulk Hogan. They needed a Stone Cold Steve Austin. They needed because they weren't as powerful as they are right now. Now,
Right.
just going at it as like a wrestler point of view, I think right now he's at the pinnacle, and kind of like my favorite game, Mortal Kombat. He's beaten the people that have tried to step up. So I think the way the maybe the reason behind the like only 54 or 50, what, I'm sorry, I forgot whatever you
54.
54 is, those are the people that come up, that make the rounds to get to, like, let's say you need 3 wins in a row to face, the king, and then you get beat down, and then that's what happens. But like, it could be that, and it could just be like now it's a whole different game. You know what I mean? Like now it's everybody, they just did a pay-per-view in a completely different country. They're doing pay-per-views all over the world, so like those people are athletes too. They got to step up to go against the guy that hasn't lost for 3 years. So I think there's obviously there's that, like, oh man, I want him to wrestle, da 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 da. But like, I think the product is completely different. And right now, he's the king of the hill. And to get to the king of the hill, you got to get through, you got to mosey your way through all the people also trying to get to the king of the hill. And you got to go through them and go through the king.
Yeah, I respect that. I think my only issue that I gotta say about Roman is I like when you just said about, we do live in a different era. There's more wrestling today than there was back then. Well, actually, there was a good amount of wrestling, but you had to go to the actual show. You can't just be like, "Oh, hey, mom, what channel is wrestling gonna be
Maybe
on?"
a few channels had that. Maybe like the NWA, maybe like
But their television show
AWA.
though,
Yeah.
their
No, like
television show,
AWA had a
yeah,
TV show. Some local broadcasting, some wrestling promotions had local broadcasting shows, but it wasn't like you said, not the scale of today, like
right,
where you could do.
That,
There's even promotions now that just are just on TikTok now. There's literally wrestling shows just on TikTok. Like that's all
yeah,
they do, you know?
and that's the word right there. You have a difference between local network, which was that all it was. Like it could reach out to maybe a couple of cities, maybe a whole town, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
now a child, who's just opening up, making a TikTok account, can run into TikTok pro wrestling,
Yeah.
and maybe they're in New Jersey and all that stuff, and this person's on their phone in freaking Argentina. You know what I mean?
right,
Like I get messages and all that stuff from people liking my videos and all that stuff, and I see they're from like Italy, they're from Japan. So it's like it's a completely different world right now, and it has its pros and it has its cons. But I think right now, since WWE is the king of all wrestling in the world, because there's really no competition to it. Like when you're that powerful of a literal powerhouse, you gotta keep up with that person. I mean, whoever's on top at the number one, if they have competition, they're beating them. But if they don't, you know what I mean? I'm not just gonna debut some, like I'm just thinking about it as like also, because also now with me being out, I've been like thinking of other roles. I've been helping with, you should know, Ever, I've been helping with like lighting and producing
yeah,
and stuff at Galli, and I kind of think about it like, why would I want to introduce a nobody to go against the person I want to be the best? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, everybody loves an underdog story, but like if this guy I just introduced, and this one the world knows he's our champion, and he's consistently giving us money and giving us whatever, what I think homie who I want maybe give a chance. I need him to show me he can get up to this guy who has been here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
We're right
Just
now, we're and like what you just said, I'm glad you mentioned that because of the whole stepping up. Uh this wasn't the first time where we lost a top guy. And 2002, Vince showed up on Raw, says, "Step up. We lost our top guys. Step up." Roman's gone. It's a bittersweet because, like you said, there's people who are actually a fan of Roman who wants to see Roman. It's like it sucks that sure you can't. I understand you don't want to wrestle every day. You probably don't have to, and you're probably right. But it's like you could show up on television here and there, for the fans, because it's like, why are you acting like you don't have fans? Because you wouldn't be the top guy if you didn't have fans. So
that's true.
so it's like that. That's the only thing that kind of pinches my nerve. But and like you said, with the whole underdog guy, I feel like instead of storyline wise, they should have at least a tournament once in a while
Yeah.
to crown a number one contender for Roman Reigns, just for him to show up for that one pay-per-view. Even it doesn't have, and then the storyline pay-per-view, like storyline matches, save that for the big four or the big five pay-per-views. So I feel like they did that with Cesaro back in 2020 or 21,
Sure.
if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe.
The WrestleMania Backlash. I don't know how he became number one contender, but if they could have done something like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Not every match with Roman has to be a storyline.
Because my logic is like the fact that Survivor Series is one of the big four. They're in Chicago, which is a wrestling mecca. I think for me, Chicago is like the wrestling city of the world. We're not biased because we're in Chicagoland area, but
Yeah.
it is a mecca. Like all these promotions, like Galli, Chicago Style, Freelance, all of them. Like these have amazing talents, and especially like everybody likes coming here. WWE comes here, AEW comes here, Impact TNA comes here, New Japan comes here, Ring of Honor. Now they're part of AEW, but like before they came by themselves. So it's kind of for me, it's kind of strange that Roman Reigns doesn't come to for the first Survivor Series and second in Chicago, you
Mhm.
know? So it's kind of like a weird kind of like what's going on? Like you go to Crown Jewel, but you don't come to Chicago. Like Chicago is
Yeah,
the city.
we all know why he went to Crown Jewel.
Yeah,
We
I
all
got
know
paid, but
we
but
know
still,
why.
like, come on, come on.
I hate the weather here. So if I had my choice between going to Saudi Arabia where it's like just hot and like people and you get treated like a king, and then like coming to Chicago and it's like, ooh, it's under 50,
Mhm.
and I had the choice. Hey, just being a little realistic there, I'd probably go to Saudi Arabia, you know?
Yeah. Facts. I don't blame you. I don't blame him on that part. But yeah, I was gonna say that I don't even think there is no Roman Reigns for this year's Survivor Series. I just don't know how we went from SmackDown versus Raw to Roman and the Bloodline with the Judgment Day, because it was gonna be Damian Priest and Finn Balor to join Bloodline for War Games or Survivor Series match. But now there is no Roman Reigns. I
Maybe
feel
until
like
like
it
WrestleMania.
on Royal Rumble. Well, now with Survivor Series, with the rumors with Survivor Series, and there's a chance he's not even going to be there. Yeah, I don't even think, because the Royal Rumble was supposed to be Cena, and I forgot who the other person was. LA Knight. So,
Mm,
but he faced LA Knight at Crown Jewel, and then Cena's gone. So it's like, okay,
yeah.
now it's like I don't even know what's going on.
Well, I think the reason why Roman might not also be at Survivor Series because there's a rumor that CM Punk might come back. Like he's off the alumni page, technically. He's off. Oh, they edited it.
Oh,
And it's
I
kind of
think
ironic
I
because
think they put him back
Dynamite,
on, right?
yeah,
They
and
put him
ironic because
back on.
Dynamite's in Chicago that week too on Wednesday. I don't know about Collision or Rampage because that's Survivor Series. Oh, Collision's on Saturday, but Dynamite's in Chicago or Wintrust. I forgot what arena it's at.
Yep.
And then Survivor Series is here in Allstate Arena. So I don't know. It's kind of like, like is everybody gonna stick it to them? I don't know. Like here we got CM Punk.
I think CM Punk Uh, I mean, it'd be crazy if CM Punk showed up. Well, that's the other
But
thing. Shinsuke Nakamura was supposed to do an open challenge at Survivor Series, and then the two people who were going to answer it was CM Punk and then Randy Orton.
Oh,
So, and they did open up a lot of seats because I don't know if you guys remember Royal Rumble 2008, like the Madison Square Garden, where it was just like the entranceway. That's how it's going to
yeah.
be in Survivor Series.
Oh wow.
oh,
Okay.
Yeah, but it's gonna be like that, and then obviously with the two rings. So, because like behind the entrance, they're selling out seats there. So they're trying to sell out the whole arena. So obviously that part, I feel like that's mainly more like sticking it to AEW, where it's like we could sell out arenas. But and then it's at the same time, it's like if CM Punk shows up, he shows up. But I'm like, I swear, if they bring CM Punk, it's like, bro, you guys won. I personally feel like you guys won because that's like the most pettiest thing you guys could have ever done to AEW. And it's like you got to give them a round of applause if they do that. And if they don't, then they better bring Randy Orton back. They got to bring somebody back. So
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on that,
Chicago, we're
Axel?
bloodthirsty, man.
and what? Let's just nip this in the bud. I'll go. I'll wrestle Shinsuke. Uh,
Spoilers.
yeah, I'll wrestle him. We'll make it easier so that all the insider people and all that stuff calm down. You heard it here first. Axel Rico versus Shinsuke Nakamura on the
That'd be
in the
baller.
biggest ball Survivor Series next week. I got to get
Woo!
ready. I don't think I'll be cleared, but you know what? I'll figure something out.
just, just.
I'll go in there. I'll move some things around and
Oh, don't do that. Oh, hell no! Don't do that. Just
what?
yeah, because
What? I don't
you met the bones on your shoulder. Don't do that. Hell no. Just lay
know.
down. Just pull a Jeff Jarrett.
That live on your podcast right now.
Ah, it's weird. Somebody said something. I don't remember. They were showing me of somebody who broke like a video. Somebody like, oh, this person broke their bone. I was like, oh man, that's gross. Why would you show me that? And there's like, didn't you just saw the Saw movie?
I
Like,
was
that's
gonna say you're
different.
right. Wrestling fans, they you know, it's like everybody says, like, you know, you're a big fan of wrestling. Of course, you never want to see the botches and all that stuff, but you know, of course, you know, nobody pays for the Tiger show for like every, you know, maybe that one night the Tiger will bite. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
you never know when that one punch actually lands, and then you get the like, wait, did he actually die? You know, like.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm not like very, you know, I'm a big fan of like loving to get surprised.
Mm,
But I understand that, like, you know, there's I personally, you know, me, I'm a guy that loves to get surprised. I don't like spoilers. I barely watch trailers to movies
mm,
because I used to be into like film editing and all that in like high school into college. So like I've studied film. So like when I see trailers and I see just like the way they cut things, sometimes my brain goes into like, oh, I think I know what's gonna happen. Oh, that ruined the movie for me. Oh, I saw this, or you know, so I like to keep myself surprised. And
mm.
course there is that factor that there is, you know, even in speculation you can be completely wrong. You know what I mean? You can have like, oh, because of this, and then day of, crap, they didn't do any of that, you know. But I do understand like the want to know, and but I'm a guy that just likes to sit back and see what happens. You know, I love, you know, just turning on to Instagram and be like, wait, what, you know, like that kind
Mm,
of moment is kind of cool. So I don't really like to dig into that stuff personally. I think it's fascinating because I think the world of wrestling, you know, the fact that it started from just like a carnival show into like now where there's whole podcasts and pages and all this, you know, like we can talk about one pay-per-view for 3 hours. I think that's freaking sweet. We can
right.
talk about a specific wrestler for hours. We can do speculations for hours. And I love that about this business. I love the entertainment factor. But, you know, just personally for me, I, you know, if I get told something's like, oh, that's really cool. I'd love to see that. And I love the, you know, what if, you know, that's just so cool to me, which is why, but I'm not the guy to be like, what do you think of, they did backstage during this thing. I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't there. Like, you know, was there videos that I can see, or are they going to make a documentary about it anytime soon? Then we can kind of talk about it. But like, you know, I just find everything awesome and interesting. You know, like CM Punk was to come back, cool. Would it be an FU to a different company? Sure. Or would it be the right move for business? I don't know. You know, like I'm a big fan of everything right now. Personally, I met Tozawa at AAW. I'm just a big fan of that guy. I think he should go against Roman Reigns or Shinsuke Nakamura. Like maybe I'll text him and be like, "Hey, dude, I was supposed to wrestle Shinsuke Nakamura in Survivor Series. I'll take my spot." You know, I'll talk to him about it. But
sounds good. I would love to see that.
yeah, but I'm just a big fan of just anything that happens, of course, because even the bad stuff, you know, all publicity is good publicity. And like what I just said, like we can talk about a reason behind somebody doing something or a promotion doing something for hours.
Right.
You know, that's what you want. You know what I mean? Like if we hated it all, we wouldn't be having a whole podcast about it. We wouldn't be talking about wrestling. And that's why I freaking love it. I love the bad. I love the good. You know what I mean? Like it makes me feel
it
like
gives you something to talk about.
yeah, you can go with your buddies just like this. Like, you know, you can SHI. I don't know if you can swear here.
No, go ahead.
Okay. You know,
Not too much.
You know, think this was awesome and all that stuff, and hear people's point of views on everything, and that's why I love it. So I think bad, good, wrestling's forever. So let's always talk about it.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with everything you just said. It's just like, yeah, what you said about the CM Punk, it would be a FU for the company, but at the same time, it's like, okay, now that's done and over with. What's next for the WWE and all that, and what's next for CM Punk? You know, it's just, yeah, it's like there's just so much going on, and then when us wrestling fans, we're the only, I wouldn't say only, but we do it so much where it's like we bash each other so much, and it's just like, why? Shouldn't we be going against the guys, against the guys that come up to us and say, you know, wrestling is fake, right? It's like,
Are you sure about that?
yeah, like we should be together to go against those people. You know, it's kind of like people saying, why do you cheer for the Chicago Bulls when the Lakers better? And it's like, because I'm from Chicago and I'm just showing love to my team. But I do watch the Lakers, you know, don't get me wrong, but I'm from Chicago. I'm going to represent my team. And it's just weird when it comes to sports, especially football, you got to root for one team. You can't be a bandwagon. You can't root for two teams. You got to root for one. And wrestling, it's similar. Why are you watching WWE? AEW is better. Why are you watching AEW? WWE is better. Who cares? We could watch wrestling. It's a popular thing. Before, when I was growing up, it used to be, oh, you watch wrestling? That's so embarrassing. It's okay. Yeah. I can't watch wrestling, but I could watch Jimmy Neutron. What? I don't follow. I don't get that. I could still watch Fairy Odd Parents. That's cool, but I can't watch WWE. All right.
Transformers is real, but not wrestling. Yeah, the robots, cars turn into robot. You know, that's real. We can watch that all day, but we can't watch. You know? Yeah. I think we have a different perspective because I think we all have like, well, you know, Axel's a wrestler. You're a promoter, right? As well, right?
I was
promoter backstage. Ian's been in wrestling. I'm just back. I never wrestled. I don't think I can. I don't have the back for it. But we have different perspectives because we've been behind the scenes and stuff. You know, we've seen how it works. So it's a different perspective than like you said, someone says it's fake. They don't really know what's what is it about. Like they never been in the ring or touched the ring or assembled the ring. Mm-hmm. You know, it's all metal and wood, you know. So they don't know. It's like every time you hit the mat, it's like, you know, it hurts, right? Or every time you like smack the mat solid, you know, like wow, these guys do this for like a 20-minute match.
It doesn't hurt if you land right.
Okay, see, I never took a bump in the ring, so I don't know. I don't plan to.
Boys, even if you bump right, it still sucks.
Depends on the move and the ring. Oh goddamn, there's some rings out there where it's like, bro, hell no, this is not a wrestling ring.
Yeah, who unfolded this one this afternoon? Like, oh, I was gonna shamelessly plug, so like a fun thing between, that, the fact that wrestling can be anything. I think it is kind of like it is art at the end
Yeah,
of the day. It's entertainment, it's art, and of course,
for
what
sure.
some brings to, like if you have a literal blank canvas and you just don't have any ideas, you just get told, just make something. Every single human being is going to see it and do it and look at it completely different than the next person. And that's just what wrestling is. You know what I mean? Like someone's going to look at what you just did or your match or whatever and be like, that was freaking awesome, or that was horrible. I don't know how I feel about that. I might need to see it again. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
or that gradual of like, man, I'd probably see that again. Like, or, oh, I just came just for this one time. I was very entertained. I'd probably never see it again. There's so many, like, I think because just like that with art, you know what I mean? Like people are big fans of Picasso and this person, but like, you get that one person's like, oh, I'm a big fan of Donovan Oliver. And it's like, who the hell is that? And it's like, oh, let's look up. You know what I mean? That's like
Right.
so I think very much at the end of the day, it's art. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Maybe you can know about it. Maybe people get introduced to it. Maybe people have a bad opinion on it. You know what I mean? I think it goes into that thing of the fact that our brains have that like yes no, but everyone has that. That's where the arguing and the opinions and all that go. But the shameless plug, Proving Grounds Pro Wrestling does cartoon and anime and Transformers fighting each other all in the ring. So I feel like you should anybody watching that's the perfect wrestling.
Because we need an turf to Chikara, right? They had a similar kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, when do you guys have shows? Like where usually?
Well, just with that, our next show is the next Saturday, which is the 17th or 18th,
Oh,
of November. But just like even with that, like with Chikara and all that stuff, people even like super awesome wrestlers and promoters or just podcasters will be like, that ain't wrestling. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? At the end of the day of it, because I think it's so wide, it's so much art, it's such art that like interpretation is whatever it is. But I think wrestling is so expansive. I don't think there is a wrong or a right. There's wrestling I prefer to watch. There's
yeah.
wrestling I want to see. There's wrestling that I know about, but I don't really watch it. You know what I mean? I think that's how the business works. And I think no matter what, I think that's awesome that it incorporates and involves so much. I've had so much fun, just sitting back for this one and just watching it happen and seeing, fans and all that stuff love it. And then I'll go to CSW and want to be in the ring. It's a
Right.
completely different, like thing, but it's awesome. So I find that very good. But it's like at the end of the day, like CSW, Freelance, AAW, they're all wrestling, but they're all completely different. They're each one is like a Monet, one of them's a Picasso, one of them's a Frida Kahlo. You know what I mean? Like, I think at the end of the day, like it's wrestling, but it's also like that's where everybody's going to get those opinions. I've seen WWE. WWE isn't AEW. I've seen AEW. It's not NWA. I've seen NWA. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that. That's why there's so much. That's why I personally believe people can argue till the end of until the end of days. No pun intended. Wrestling. Yeah, it's just art at the end of the day. So like everybody's gonna have opinion on art.
And it's weird because like when you said it yourself, when you go to an art, yeah, wrestling is art. But when you go to an art museum, it's not like you expect the same type of art. Everybody paints differently. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's not even a painting, it's a structure, you know,
Exactly.
and that's what it is. Wrestling is art.
It's art.
And sports entertainment, you know.
It's art.
Geez, why am I throwing
I
a
have a
blank?
question for
Go
both of
ahead.
you.
Ooh.
Since we're talking about Chicago, like, what are like what are you don't have to say their names, but like what are three talents you think that are local? Because I think WWE might do tryouts. They always do tryouts around the Big Four, so they might
Okay.
do tryouts in Chicago, maybe not. It's like, do you guys know what local indie talent do you guys like would love to see like try out for the WWE, or what do you, who's the rising stars for you? Like, have you seen recently, or even guys you've seen in NWA, or like you mostly watch like like bigger promotions. Like, who do you want to see, be the next NXT star or be a tryout? Let's say they do it in Chicago next week or whatever, 2 weeks from now.
All right. I think I can probably give a quick three that are just like Chicago.
It could be Chicago, Midwest. They could be from Wisconsin, Iowa. It could be anything
Uh,
touching Illinois.
if it's Midwest, I'd probably branch out a little bit more. If it's just Chicago and it's just like people that I've seen and like have found them very entertaining and like willing to grow, I'd say number one. That is still literally like I would even consider this person like a baby seed that is growing pretty fast, but still has room to grow. Rafael Quintero,
Oh, he's good.
uh,
He's really good.
Is he the
100.
freelance champion?
No. He's CSW. He's one of my trainees, and the guy has picked it up super duper fast. He's at Galli now. He's running for all of their championship belts, and he is slowly starting to gain his stock in the Chicagoland scene. I'd give him a little look. I know Evar, you see him almost
Yeah.
every 2 weeks and stuff, so that's probably why you know him. Another person who I am such a big fan of, and I think is a wonderful character, but nothing like Rafael Quintero, is a Trevor Outlaw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Even though not a lot of people like him, but I think right there's an art right there, of getting heat and being the bad guy per se. And then I think number three is like super exchangeable and, can be almost anybody, like really killing it right now in the Chicagoland scene. Like I'm a big fan of Joey Avalon. I've every time I've seen him wrestle, he's like, torn it down with anybody. He wrestled Gangrel, like in a very entertaining match. And then I saw him wrestle, like, I see him wrestling me, Marche Rockets, and the other people in the Midwest. Then we hear, like, I don't know, there's like a lot of names, but I think the
Yeah.
big come into my head that I think could wrestle anybody and could adjust to and be like molded into different, like what AEW is looking for, what a WWE is looking for. I'm a big fan of Trevor Outlaw, huge fan of Rafael Quintero, but he's kind of like the baby out of the three. And I think Joey Avalon could wrestle like a one of the planks of wood and still
Mm.
have it be very entertaining. So those are my three personally. I don't know about you guys.
What about you, Ian? Any talent you've
Um,
been looking at, or anyone you like, like you've been like following on Instagram that you're like, yeah, this person's gonna be like Dirty B, or they're gonna be a star, for sure.
current?
Yeah,
That's
currently, like right
tough
now, like they could
because
Oh,
be.
that's
that's
because well, yeah, I
me.
could give you people back then where back for me back then I could give you people back then where I'm surprised they're not signed. One of them is Marche Rockets. The other
Oh
one
yeah.
is Steve Boz. Um,
Nice.
who else? God damn it. Why am I TJ Steels?
Ooh,
TJ
TJ.
TJ
Man, that's
Steels. Yeah.
CSW. Let's go.
So there was
CS.
another why am I throwing up TJ Steels, Marche Rockets, Steve Boz,
Axel
uh
Rico.
Yep.
Axel Rico,
Uh,
of
oh
course.
wow, good
Yeah,
one. That's
there you go. Current. Hey, I got a current now. I got a
there you go.
current. I remember his name. Chris Logan. Chris Logan.
Logan. Okay.
He's
Shogun?
one, yeah,
Shogun
the
Logan?
Shogun. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one guy where I was really surprised where I'm just like, yeah, bro, you still wrestling in the indie? How are you not signed yet? He's the one guy where I really said that to. Um and then the current Axel Rico, obviously.
Oh
I,
wow.
I
Jeez.
would say I would say that even if you weren't on the show.
Wow.
Ever knows that. I talked
Yeah.
about you saying you should be on Impact. I actually thought you were gonna be in the what's it called? The call your shot gauntlet, but then he reminded me that you're still out with the shoulder injury, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. uh,
Yeah.
who's that guy ever? The guy that you said that who was security for Bound for Glory? He was I
Oh,
don't know.
Mario Padua?
Oh,
Padua? Oh, Storm Grayson.
Yes, him. Is he the freelance champion?
I think
yes.
so.
Okay, him. Because when I saw him, I saw him from a distance. I was like, oh, okay, cool. He's a good looking guy. And I kept walking. I was like, damn, you tall as hell. that boy tall.
He's a good guy. He's been wrestling forever.
Really? How long?
He's because I remember I saw pictures of him in I think 2016 with like Chico Suave at Galli.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I saw him, like when I saw like the clips that I saw him as a baby. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like he hadn't, he was still figuring out how to walk,
Right.
and right now he's like dominating all of freelance. I've seen him in Canada. And of course now I've seen him work a dark match in the E. I've seen him work the dark matches in the AEW. He did an Impact match at that pay-per-view, I believe, or just
not at the pay-per-view, but it was the taping
Fallout,
after.
Yeah. But I don't know, but it's like he's one of those guys that I wouldn't be. I don't think I add him to my list because I wouldn't be surprised. You know what I mean? Because he's super good. I've seen him just show up to a show, be told what he's doing, and then he killed it. Especially at their Emporium shows at Freelance. Those are fun shows. I'd recommend going. I think he wrestled, what's her name? Kylie Ray, right? He wrestled Kylie Ray, and they I've never seen like a barcade lose their mind. Like I worried that the people were going to jump in the ring. It was so much fun.
Nice. Yeah, because I found out about him. I think it was I don't know if it was during the pandemics, but that's when I found out about him. But I found out about him through freelance though.
Yes.
And that was it. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And then next thing you know, I believe I think he wrestled in CSW, right? Chicago Style Wrestling. Is he wrestling at that show?
I don't think so. I think he's just been
freelance, right? Okay. Could have swear I thought I saw him.
He's a normal person at a Warrior. I think he took on Takeshita in one of their outdoor shows, and they where you do the jumping over the thing and like
at Warrior. Yeah, that was at Marion Marion High School. Yeah, he like literally ran the hurdles and then he he ran into him. Yeah, I saw that. That was good.
Oh, nice. Is Warrior Wrestling still around?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
they're actually I think they posted that they're rebuilding or something. But my three, I'm surprised you didn't say none of the ladies. Like
well, I think its own category. Three, because you can't
okay.
freak. Yes. You know what I mean? Too many people, but I'll let's hear what you got.
For sure, just say men and women, I would agree Axel Rico. That's one. Quintero for sure. I mean, if I could see, like you said, he's really, really good. I'm not biased because I work for Galli. I'm not just because of that. No, even if I saw him, he was where else was he? He was in MCW. He does other Proving Ground. He does other promotions too. Yeah. But yeah, he's really every time he comes out, people are cheering for him. He's been in the main event. I think co-main event or main event the last few months or something, 4 months or something. And in every promotion he goes to, I think he's won a title with, I forgot what other promotion, but he's definitely up there. I could see him definitely being an NXT, obviously, he's kind of cool, or WWE for sure. For the ladies, I would say Shelly Benson. I think she's been very popular. She's been going a lot of promotions too. I think she's currently champion for 2 promotions or 3 promotions. I forgot.
I think it's Chicago. I think it's closer to 5 now at the moment.
5, okay, yeah. So, and then Heather Reckless, she's pretty good. She's been everywhere.
Hell yeah! I would rather see her in Impact though. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, she was in Impact.
She's been doing Impact. She should be there. She should stay there.
True.
Like there's a lot of talent, and then obviously there's like Missa K. She's in NWA, but I would love to see her like on WWE or AEW. Like being part of the women's division. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Heather's one of those ones that she's crazy good. Like I know if I'm in a room full of people at least 5 foot tall, I'd probably lose her. But like that girl is talented. All man, that little girl can like put on a match.
Hey, is she from Chicago?
No, she's from Iowa.
Damn. So she drives all the way over here to wrestle.
That's the job, baby. That's the job.
Shout out to her. I was always wrong because I when I see a lot of people booking, damn. So did we not have that much women wrestlers here in Chicago then?
Oh, we do. Yeah, we do. We have a lot. Who else?
Is Sky Blue from Chicago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Um,
she's probably, she doesn't do any local stuff, of course, because she's
Yeah.
got, busy. I think that the women's scene has been growing. I
Mhm.
think it is. I think Chicago is one of those high places where it's like every single weekend there's at least 1 to 7 shows. So I think it is bringing in people like, of course, Missa Kate is a regular, Heather Reckless all the way from Iowa. I've seen a lot of Shaza McKenzie. She just
yeah.
wrestled
Yep.
Sexy Star in a crazy match at Galli. But just like that, like even people from Mexico want to come here. Like I talked with Sexy Star after the show at Galli, and she's like, I love Chicago, I want to keep coming.
Wow.
You got the Maggie Lees,
Yeah.
and Shelly making a name for herself now with all the championships she's winning at different promotions like Zawa. But like then we have Dreamwave, which is having an entire promotion or a whole show just women. That's freaking sweet. I remember AAW had like Thunder Rosa and all those other people coming into it. So I think right now,
Thunder
like you
Rosa
said,
wrestled in Chicago style wrestling as well, right?
oh man, that's before my time.
Damn.
That's definitely before. Yeah,
But
because I know
still,
we
like
had shot.
it does go with what you just said. There's a lot of Chicago. It's more getting more women involved. Yeah, they may not have a lot of women wrestlers here in the States, in Chicago alone, but the fact that people are willing to come to Chicago because they
Yeah,
know Chicago has a hot crowd, and
yeah,
they do get a lot attention, like Thunder Rosa, Kylie Ray, Sky Blue now, and
yeah, yeah.
who
Oh, you
Mystic
forgot
Kate.
Scarlett Bordeaux. Scarlett Bordeaux. She trained at Chicago Style, right? I think she trained
Yeah,
with you, Ian, or before.
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 Yeah. He trained with Mecha Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wasn't
Yeah.
Mr.
Shotzi? I think her last
450.
match was in Chicago. I think her last indie match was in Chicago
Yeah.
before she went to WWE or NXT.
It was Chicago style wrestling. I was on that show.
Yeah.
Nice, nice,
And
nice.
then we have people like Blair Onyx coming up, Leslie, Ashton Alexander from St. Louis. St. Louis has a wrestling scene. It's always been like that since the NWA days.
Mhm.
Obviously, like she has Shazas from St. Louis.
Yeah.
People from Wisconsin. There's a lot of Brew City, and there's other promotions up there. Glacier,
Yeah.
was that GLCW or something?
Great Lakes.
Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, and that's the crazy
So
part
there's a
because
lot of wrestling.
and that's the thing. We're only talking about here in Chicago. Imagine we're not the only
Oh yeah.
podcast here in Chicago. Obviously, there's more, but there's other people in their own state that have their own podcast talking about what's going on in the locals of their own hometown about their wrestling. It's just like there's so much wrestling out there where it's just too much to follow. That's why we just try to follow the locals and then the big ones, but there's so
Right.
much wrestling going on where it's so difficult to follow. But I do appreciate that people do come to Chicago to wrestle because they know, like, yeah, it's a hot town. I hate the traffic in Chicago. It's just like, oh my gosh. And then I went once to a venue and I was just like, God damn it, parking's horrible. And
Yeah.
it's just like I want to go to more indie shows. I used to go back then, but it's just like now it's just like, God damn, why you guys keep finding places that have parking of 5 cars? Like, come on, man. It's just gotta start booking a little bit more bigger venues, or at least a bigger parking spot, man. But going back to, well, we never like stopped anyways. I don't know why I said that. Anyways, MJF may not sign with re-sign with AEW in 2024. There's a lot of things going on with that. There's no rumors about who he may drop the belt to. The one person they have a feeling is gonna be Warlord. I feel like he deserves to take the belt off MJF. And Warlord. Isn't that what is it? Warlord? What did I say?
Warlord. Yeah. You said Warlord or something. I don't know.
Wardlow.
Did I say it wrong or
Yeah,
you guys heard
Wardlow.
me wrong?
The Symphony of Power Bombs, right? The Symphony of Power Bombs or something. That's what it's finished.
Like that OG, like the Warlord, like from like the 70s. I'm like, oh, he's coming back.
Now you got me confused. Is that his name, right?
No, it's Wardlow.
Oh, anyways, since I can't say his name, he doesn't deserve the title no more. Screw that. Roderick Strong deserves the title, Mr. Backbreaker.
Anyway, I'm the new host of this podcast.
You don't even know the name of the show, and it's on our background.
Yeah. But anyway, my podcast now. I know the name of wrestlers.
It's all right. I'm wearing an Impact Wrestling hat, so it's cool. Even if he was an Impact, I'll probably still say his name right. Wrong. Sorry.
Okay. I was very intrigued. I was like, now I want to tune into AEW. I want to know who this Warlord is. I want to.
You're gonna show up and be like, "Damn, Ian lied to me."
I like Genghis Khan just like coming out in like freaking elephants as an entrance. I was like, damn, that guy would beat MJF. I think that'd be awesome. But no, okay.
Anyways, Jeff Jarrett deserves to beat MJF.
Oh boy.
Anyways, what up, Mike? So Jonathan Coachman made a statement saying that if MJF decides to not renew his contract, that he is possibly gonna be the highest paid wrestler due to WWE trying to reach out to him and offer him. Obviously, he's gonna be in the millions. AEW is gonna try to either top that. What's your thoughts on that? And do you think MJF deserves to be a multi-millionaire, like, or basically getting paid that much? And do you think he's a draw?
Well, I don't know. I think the word draw is to of course it's based off popularity. Of course, popularity contest. That's why you want to be a draw. You want eyes on you. You want the most social media fans and all that stuff. I don't think you need to be a good wrestler to draw. That's why I kind of don't like the word draw, because it's like I've seen a lot of wrestlers that quote unquote draw, but they're good wrestlers.
Right.
If that makes sense. I think MJF draws and he's a good wrestler. I personally love what he brings to wrestling. I think he's very smart. I've met the guy. He's pretty funny. I think he's a good person. I think he's one of those dudes that, just from an outsider's perspective, I don't know. You know what I mean? I think he's worked his ass off, and I think he's one of those guys that deserves anything that comes his way. He's been very successful. I think what he's brought to a company that literally started, less than 10 years ago, has definitely helped it. And there's not a lot of people that go from not being known whatsoever, like not being a draw, and then to like, we're talking about him right now.
Right.
And in the span of probably really where his popularity kicked off in like 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's crazy to think about. Like, of course, when AEW started, they needed the Chris Jerichos, they needed the Cody Rhodes, they needed the Young Bucks and all that stuff to really start it off. Because could you imagine if MJF was the top guy? Could you imagine if Warlord was the top. You know what I mean? I don't think we'd be talking about AEW right now. You know, if they didn't have those names, of course, that's what you need to start a company. But the fact that like now those guys are in the shadow of like an MJF who 2-3 years ago, we probably wouldn't even be talking about him in the Chicagoland scene because I think he did a couple AAW shows, you know what I mean? But like
Right.
never consistent. He was never on any TVs. He was never on like a Lucha Underground, you know what I mean? But now he's like the top guy at one promotion. I think that shows just as like as an artist, you know, back to like all this conversation we've been doing. I think that's probably like one of the most impressive things. So the fact that, you know, he may be reaching, you know, maybe going to WWE and all that stuff in the span of like, you know, I think AEW started in 2019, right?
Yes, 19. Yeah.
The fact that he went from local nobody, you know, a local, I don't want to say nobody, that's a hard word, but just like a local wrestler to like TV talent, and then the freaking top guy, and like is now possibly going to WWE. I think that's awesome.
Mm.
And I think very well deserved. I think he is very talented, and like I said before, I think I would follow his art, if that makes sense.
Right. It's he's basically kind of like and that's sorry, it's like I'm trying to find a way to say it. MGF, when it's somebody like somebody like a MJF who leaves a company, it's kind of like an artist leaving the band or leaving a record label to go work somewhere else, and it's like, I'm gonna follow you wherever you go because I'm a fan of your work, as long as you're still doing the same type of work. Because, you know, if it's like I love your style of work and you go somewhere else and you change it, it's like that's how you lose your fans and stuff like that. But yeah, no, and then I guess for me, when it comes to, and me and Ever had this conversation, I think when it comes to the draw, I think for me, what bothers me is like what you said, Axel. A draw doesn't mean you have to be a good wrestler. You could be, you know, you could be good at something like on the mic and all that stuff. People don't pay CM Punk to wrestle; they pay to see what he has to say, and that's the same with MJF. So I guess what my issue with MJF is just like, why the hell are you on a pre-show when you're gonna main event the pay-per-view? You know, that's the only thing that bothers me. Where, you know, it's just like, but I'm pretty sure that's not him. That's Tony. And
Sure.
yeah, it's just like I just don't get it. But then once again, I gotta keep, you know, MJF is going through a lot, and it's like he did say himself, if I'm a draw and every time I show up, I draw views, I don't have to. If I'm drawing views when I'm on the mic, why do I have to wrestle? Put me on the pay-per-views and I could, you know, have people pay me to wrestle. But then that's where it goes to that point where it's like, then why are you on the pre-show then? So
well, I think with that, I think that's with that specific, because I think you talk about the London thing, right?
The London, and also for Full Gear coming up.
Okay. Well, I think for that London idea was probably smart, because like a lot of those crazy MFers like love wrestling and love the product and they love MJF. And if you get told like your favorite wrestler is going to be there right at the start, you're going to want to get there. You know what I mean? I think probably the mindset behind it, they wanted to get as many people to fill up those seats as much as, you know, as soon as possible, so that when they start the show, it looks like there's a freaking roar, an army out there,
right?
You know, of course, if they came that early to see one person and they're going to be at the end of the show, like, I don't know, I'd stick around.
That's true.
So
but here's the thing. You're saying that
Mm-hmm.
if I was told by that from Tony Khan, MGF, sure, okay, cool, thank you. But I'm hearing it from you. You know, it's like, it just bothers me where it's like, come on, Tony, what are you doing, man? It's like, you know, it's just like, but if that's the case, cool. All right, I understand that. But all right,
I don't know. That's all speculation, you know?
Yeah. And that's the thing about wrestling. We could just talk about it and then we just got to wait and see. You know, MJF contract is going to be up. Who knows? Maybe, you know, he's going to do a shoot video once his contract is released, and he's going to throw all the third sheet out there. So, all right, well, this wraps up the show. Axel Rico, appreciate for your time and being a special what is the proper way of saying it?
I'm the host now since you warlord. So
Warlord.
that's changing. We're changing.
What happened was my dog licked my leg and then I got scared. So that's why I fumbled my words. I apologize.
Who got all flipped up? Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's why I was like, oh, warlord. That's why I hesitated and all that. But all right, Ever, take us home, baby.
All right, guys, that'll be it for this episode. Thank you, Axel Rico, for joining us. Where can people find you? Like, what's social medias and stuff?
Well, now that I'm like officially healing up and all that, I'm starting to get more back into social media. So of course, find me on Axel Rico on Instagram, Facebook. I have an X. I almost said I'm getting used to that. Follow me on Twitter. Usually it's like Axel with a bunch of R's, like you're rolling and saying Rico. Of course, support an indie wrestlers, all the pages on the, Pro Wrestling Tees and all that stuff. So yeah, that's where I'm at, mostly on Axel Rico and all the socials. And don't be afraid to send me a message because I love sharing stories and all that stuff.
If you want,
and your next show for Proving Ground is next week, the 17th.
The 17th, the Saturday, I think that is the 17th of November. We're going to be in the Kalahari Water Park Resort.
Fancy
awesome show. And we do have, I'm not going to give away too much, but next year we have at least already in the books like 3 or 4 more shows in the Midwest. Nice. So it's a lot of fun doing that. And of course, I don't know when, but one of these days I will get back into the squared circle and wrestle myself. I did make a promise. This will be my first promotion back.
Ooh, nice.
Well, I would hope so since you made that video package. But if you want, we'll put all of your links in the bio.
Please follow Chicago Style Wrestling, follow Freelance, follow Galli Lucha Libre, follow anything indie wrestling in the Chicagoland area or anywhere that gives you pleasure. Wrestling.
Yes.
And also hit that like and subscribe button for new entry wrestling podcasts. Ever, take us home, baby. All
right, guys, this is it. And thank you guys so much for joining us and see you soon.
All right, now we are out. Do-do-do.
Do-do-do.
Hey, look at that.